Hi, we're the Kids in the Hall. I'm Mark. This is Dave, Bruce, and Scott.
Hi.
And Kevin, I'm here. There's 5 of us.
Lorne Michaels, after taking 5 years off of Saturday Night Live, was looking around, and he sent talent people, and he sent Yvonne Fasson, who was the president of late night NBC, but he was a Toronto guy, and he came and saw us. And then the next morning, I was calling my movie theater because I was a movie usher, saying, "I can't work today. We just got signed with Pam Thomas, the big comedy agent. Her husband's Dave Thomas. Anyway, there's a conference call with Lorne Michaels. Anyway, I can't go in." And I remember my manager saying, "Well, John, no, his name was Ed. What? Ed Footer or something. He already called in sick, so I don't know what I'm going to do." And when I was just about to say, I guess I have to quit, he said, "Never mind, we'll work it out. I guess it sounds like a big deal."
He just underplayed it.
Yeah.
And yes, that was the voice of Kevin McDonald from the legendary sketch group Kids in the Hall. And you've tuned into another episode of Comedy History 101, where we school you in comedy. I am Harmon. Hello. I am Harmon. Hello. Like I just mentioned, we have Kevin McDonald on the show for Kids in the Hall. And do you know what we're going to do? We're going to talk some comedy history to the 101 extreme. And we are going to do a deep dive with Kevin on the history of Kids in the Hall, comedy in general, and his upcoming shows in New York. But before we jump into the episode, a few quick plugs. And you can find out all about my shows on my site, harmonleon.com, or on the social medias at Harmon Leon. And also, show Comedy History 101 a little love. Like, subscribe, comment on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts, or on our site, comedyhistory101.com, or on Instagram, comedyhis101. Wow, that was all a mouthful. And now, without further ado,
You're stupid. Everybody's so stupid.
I'm trying to use the phone!
excuse me! Comedy History 101. Kevin, how are you?
I'm fine. I'm there. That's better.
Yeah. Where are you?
Good.
That's the top of your head. That's there. Yep. That's the full head.
Yes. Where am I? Like, what city am I in, or something more?
What room of the house are you in?
I'm in the office.
The podcasting room.
Yes, I guess the podcasting room. And I guess I've got this new position, so everybody asks me when I do podcasts or Zooms what that dragon is. My nephew drew it. That's the whole story.
Oh, okay. That was the third question on my list.
Yeah.
Which would have been, do you have any dragon drawings on your wall? And if so,
wait, I do.
Who would have done it? Where are you currently at?
Now what city am I? Is that?
No, wait, let's go macro. Have you read micro?
We've done micro. Winnipeg, Manitoba. I live in a place called Winnipeg, Manitoba.
I know it. I grew up in Minneapolis, and people from Winnipeg would come down, and it's over there.
That way.
Yeah. They would go, we thought we'd come down to the cities for the weekend. They call Minneapolis the cities. And then they go...
Because they also mean St. Paul, but they want to respect St. Paul, but not enough to say it.
And then they would say, "Do you want to do some shooters?" And we weren't sure what that was, but it actually turned out to be a good thing.
You Americans, you just say shots, you don't say shooters?
We have to refer to our Google Translate app for that.
Shooters is a more fun way to put it. Shots is kind of violent.
Yeah.
Shots.
Yeah.
But shooter, even though it's a shooter shoots a shot, it just seems it's more party-ish. Shooter.
Yeah, absolutely. And Winnipeg, as we all know, home to Guy Madden.
Yes. He lives over there.
Where, in the closet?
House is over there.
Wait, so he lives the opposite direction of Minnesota.
Yeah. He lives even further from Minnesota than I do. Yeah, I know. I know what question you're gonna ask. Like the way you were gonna ask the dinosaur question. I moved here from Los Angeles 14 years ago because I met a woman in Winnipeg. There. Was that your exact question?
No. My question was, do you have any more dragon drawings? It was like to share.
It'd be brilliant if I didn't know. Oh wait, and then
Yeah. So you were just in New York, Soho Theater,
yes.
and you're coming back.
Yes, sorry, New York. Sorry. That's the plan. If we sell more tickets, I'm too honest. I'm too on. But yes, that's the plan. That I'm coming to. I was in New York, the Soho Playhouse, doing the rock opera that I wrote. By the way, when I wrote this rock opera, I used to say tongue in cheek, like with quotation. I wrote a rock opera, and now I say it like seriously, like I mean it. But it is a rock opera, so I do mean it. I do mean it. But I've lost all sense of humor. That people either think you what? You wrote a what? Do they still exist? Or if you're under 40, you go, sorry, what's a rock opera?
Yeah. And you had a friend of the podcast, Frank Conniff, in your show.
Yes, and I'm not only am I too honest, but I'm boring. I'm telling you things that that he didn't ask. He just emailed me. I'm going to do his podcast with his partner there, where they riff on movies. And there you go.
Yeah,
I'll get more exciting as this interview goes on. I'll get more excited. Though Frank Conniff is amazing. I'm the boring one. Frank was great. He was great in the rock opera. See, no tongue in cheek.
Yeah, no, not ironically stated a rock opera. Yeah. So on the Second City site, it says join Kevin McDonald for an evening of stand up.
Yeah.
Why the air quotes? Are they just like maybe we're not familiar with the term stand up, or is it going something else, or is it again another tongue in cheek?
It could be tongue in cheek. I never told them this, but they probably have good instincts because it is it's sort of part stand up and part one man show where I tell stories about the kids in the hall. Did they not say that he tells stories of the kids in the hall?
Well, yeah, I believe so, but I sort of stopped and tried to analyze why the stand-up was in quotes.
You analyze things, cartoon dragons.
Yeah.
And I know I'm a hack. The thing is, before COVID, when I was doing stand-up, when people came to just what the club or the theater was, and they didn't know who I was, and then I had trouble. I know I'm funny. I'm naturally funny, but I'm talking about like kids in the hall. They didn't know who I was. So now I was like, it's hacky. Kevin McDonald tells stories of the kids in the hall. It's sort of like Mark Twain tells stories of the Mississippi River. But it's working. The hack thing is working.
No, but people wanted to hear Mark Twain stories about the Mississippi River. What about Kevin McDonald tells stories about the Mississippi River? Would that be? And can Mark Twain tell stories in the direction where the Mississippi would be? Right. Okay, right.
Well, I was stern on the boat, stern over there when the...
What was that transition from going from like group to doing solo work?
Well, it was hard. It was, and I did it out of, I was forced to because I moved to Winnipeg. I already told you that great story.
Yeah. And we know the direction which Guy Madden's in.
Yes.
To my right, your left.
Actually, one of the first things I did was a Guy Madden movie. We shot that a little bit there and a little bit that way. There.
Oh, nice.
Keyhole. It's a good movie. That's why he's the boss figure, and you're not. I haven't seen it, but it feels like it was a good movie when we were shooting it. And it was hard to stand up because I'm a sketch comic, and like I knew I was funny as a teenager, and people assumed I was going to be stand up, but I thought no, I can't think of jokes or reacting. Before the COVID, COVID, an old thing. Yeah. Old men put thes in front of the before the punk rock. Before COVID, when I did my stand up, the first third of it was me being Kevin McDonald, saying that I was doing stand-up for the first time and having trouble with it. But if you didn't know who I was, I just seemed like an older gentleman having trouble doing stand-up comedy. And then during COVID, I realized, I guess I bored a lot of people with stories. If you're going to be by yourself. You're a monologist. You're a storyteller. Just tell a story. And you still get to make silly faces, Kevin, and do something silly that has nothing to do with the story. But me doing something silly while trying to be a bad stand-up on purpose was too conceptual. It was too Andy Kaufman meets Jerry Lewis, and it didn't meet that way.
Yeah, and going even farther back, you mentioned Andy Kaufman and Jerry Lewis. Like growing up, you grew up in partly Montreal and then Los Angeles. So
Montreal till I was 7, Los Angeles till I was 9, and then we don't count the suburbs, Toronto till I was 35, where I moved to Los Angeles, and then I moved to Winnipeg.
Yeah. And growing up, who was making you laugh? Like, who was forming your comedy mind?
Well, I say Jerry Lewis and Andy Kaufman because that was if you missed a few people. The first person that made me laugh was Jerry Lewis. Because I was 5 or 6. Later, when I became a comedy snob, like Jerry Lewis.
Like, was it like Nutty Professor Jerry Lewis, or
I love
late night on the telethon smoking a cigarette Jerry Lewis?
I saw it, like waiting for the Nutty Professor to happen. But I was a snob about him later, and then when I was in my late 20s, mid 20s, I thought, I'm both right. If that makes sense. His movies are funny almost half the time, and there's a half of them that aren't funny. And it's not just one good half, one bad half. It's all over. I always think that Jerry Lewis, and I'm going to answer your question. Don't worry.
Fair.
Should have like a guy next to him when Jerry's writing a script, and the guy can go, Jerry, yeah, that's good. Keep that. No, Jerry, don't put that in the script. No. You keep sort of like Scott Thompson. I always say, Scott, if you're watching, of course I'm kidding. Oh, so Jerry Lewis, and then I immediately got into things that were happening then. Woody Allen, I hope I'm allowed to say his name. Monty Python, but old things too, like the Marx Brothers. They were like such to me they were like punk. They were like rebel. They fought against everything.
Anarchists.
Funny about it. Anarchists.
Yeah.
Like Duck Soup is the greatest anarchy movie ever. Though Night of the Opera is my favorite. Yeah, and then it became anti-comedy, which was like Albert Brooks doing his stand-up, and then his films he did for Saturday Night Live, and then his movies.
I went out and bought myself a bicycle. You bought yourself a bike, huh? Yup.
And then Martin Mull and Andy Kaufman.
You stupid. Everybody's so stupid. You meathead, get out of my chair. You dingbat, go in the kitchen, make me the food.
And Steve Martin to me is an anti-comic that somehow became an arena comic. I think it's also because he was sort of not cute looking, though he was a good looking man. I'm not saying he wasn't, but he was sort of cute and sweet the way that he played a stupid guy. But it was anti-comedy. I would fight that to the death. But it was anti-comedy.
Yeah, like there's like clips out there of him like bombing before he became famous, doing anti-comedy. Like it's like, before he became famous, people weren't always tuning into that was what he was doing.
Yes, yeah. They had to. I think what really helped was the way that he played a stupid person, and a smart guy playing a dumb person. It's kind of interesting.
The all-knowing fool. As they say.
All-knowing fool, yeah.
Yeah. And then, do you remember like getting your very first like public laugh, and that might have hooked you?
I was going to take a smoothie, but I like the story, so I'm putting.
Sure. Okay, I'm going to take a.
Well, be less serious when I have the smoothie in my hand. Yeah. Is that coffee or smoothie?
It's coffee. Yeah.
Take a blender.
Oh, okay. I made this in my own coffee French press. I go French press.
We're heroes. Oh, French press. That's a bad name for a pop band. What was the question?
I think you heard about that dragon.
Yeah.
No, that was another question.
Sorry, that was the first question. Technically, yeah, sure. You're right.
Dude. I was like, do you remember like your first like public laugh, like school?
Yes, I do. In grade 3. Grade 3. We were supposed to, in our English class, write a story, a 2-page story, and then and through the 2 pages, and then perform it in front of the class. and they I'll make the story shorter, but like it's 2 public laugh stories, but it's all connected. Don't worry, it's beautiful. I could give this to Mark Twain. He would. I did a story about who cares what it was about? When I tell the story, I never tell people what it's about, but I feel like I should tell you what it's about. The trip that my parents took us on, my sister and I, to the Grand Bahamas. And funny things happen. Like my dad made me drive the golf cart, and I drove into the lake, and I got lots of laughs. I got lots of laughs. Like people. I remember the feeling that they were surprised that they were laughing. And I try to capture that every time when I go on stage, even though people have come because they've seen me on TV. I still want to surprise them. I also think this: if you're getting laughs and things are going well, the laughter sounds like a woman. If it's silent and you're not getting laughs, it sounds like a man. I guess my way of saying women are better people. But wait, there's more to the story. I'm not going to shut up yet. I will soon. But I knew I was a comic. The thing is, I just thought I was going to be a writer. That one was funny. He was going to write another one because then a few months later, the teacher asked us to write another story and present it. And this time I wrote my even when I was in grade 3, I loved Alfred Hitchcock, so I wrote my Alfred Hitchcock thriller about blowing up a car for the insurance money or something stupid like that. And when we were in class, and I was called up. I was sitting in the back of the class, not because I was cool, just because I was shy. When they called me to say my story, as I walked up and past everybody, I all heard them say, "Oh, Kevin, it's gonna be funny. This one's gonna be funny." And I thought, and I panicked, and then I did the I pretended to read what I was, and I ad-libbed something else about the first year that my dad forced me to play house league football. And it got bigger laughs, and I'll never forget this. And this ends the story. You can talk in a second.
No, it's all about me not talking. It's
I remember.
all about me doing this with my face a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For the it got bigger laughs, and I remember being in my locker throwing my books and going, "I guess I'm just a comic."
You're pissed off about that?
Yeah, I don't know why. I wanted to be more.
And then December I was in Toronto, and I actually I made a sojourn on purpose.
Rivoli?
That's the end of the story. No, just kidding. I walked by the Rivoli. So yeah, which was just amazing to see, the origin. What were those like early days? You met Dave Foley at Second City, like when you were taking classes?
Yes, I can tell you all that story. But first I want to tell you, we were there at the Rivoli in December.
Really?
Yeah, we were doing we were at a bigger theater the night before to do a benefit for our friend Paul Bellini. If you know the show, he's the comic.
I've interviewed Paul.
Here you go.
Yeah.
He's going through a liver cancer thing that we think he's going to be fine. And then we did the Rivoli, the 40th anniversary, and we did something. And it was early December. So
wow, because I was there. I produced comedy shows. I produced like 2 shows in Toronto, and Scott Thompson was part of the shows.
He didn't tell you?
No, he didn't. I just a footnote. I think he liked one of the shows, and I think he hated the other show that I put on there.
Oh, what's a footnote? Maybe he told me, and it'll spark a memory, and I'll tell you the truth.
Well, it was like involving AI, where I had this performer from Second City take on an AI version of herself in our comedy roast battle. He'll probably make a grimacing face. He was a judge in the show, and I can assure you that he probably didn't like it.
He doesn't like a lot of things, but he's the nicest guy.
I think he liked the first one though, which was more improv show I put on.
Oh, so good.
Yeah.
I'll ask him about it. Yes. All right. Okay. I'll go to the beginning. Before I got to make it longer again. I'm sorry. But here I go. Where I already said part of this. Now we can to be continued. When I was a teenager, I didn't want to be a stand-up. And I thought maybe I was going to be an actor because I read that Gene Wilder, to me, he's just a total comedian, but he was an actor that did straight plays.
Yeah.
And he just developed a comedy. I thought, maybe I'll do that. I'll be a comedy actor, and I also want to write it, but I'll take writing classes later.
And let the slaughter begin!
So I went to a community college because in Toronto back then it was 5 years of high school, but I didn't want to go past 4 years, so I only went. Anyway, I went to college for acting, which was very exciting, and it was a 3-year program. But I was kicked out after 3 months for acting because they told me that I was a one-legged actor. The one leg being comedy, but sorry for screaming. The head of the program, the guy who kicked me out, he was an actual one-legged actor. Jerry Smith. A lighting grid had fallen on his leg during the production of Pippin. So he was limping around me, having the nerve to tell me that I was a one-legged actor, and me supposed to just take it and be sad and not laugh. Which
Yeah. Did you go? Speaking of one-legged actors.
Yeah. And I wasn't that bad. Like I got 100%. I'm the only one that got 100%. And we were supposed to do a small part of a play. It was a comedy play. And I picked the right play that I was in. Al and the Pussycat. Do you remember the old chestnut, Al and the Pussycat?
I think so. Was that like a poem or no?
It may be from the title. May be from a poem.
Okay, got it.
But the same.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Anyway, when I was kicked out, and I was even though it was 9 a.m, I was on my way back to the suburbs of Toronto to tell my mother she was right. I shouldn't have gone to school for acting. When the performance teacher, the guy that actually gave me 100%, he came running after me. So they're making a mistake, Kevin. They're making a mistake. You're funny, but you can. It doesn't matter. And then he gave me the. I've told this story a million times, so if you heard it already, you're being very polite. Thank you very much. And I just realized that I have a feeling he's acting really well, but he's you heard them a million times. But so he gave me the a piece of paper that had the phone number for Second City workshops. And that's how I got in Second City, where I eventually met Dave. Should I just segue into that story where I met Dave?
Yeah, and then was it also Mike Myers there also on your first day?
Yes. I'll give you a little Mike Myers. You have heard these stories. Has everyone listening to this heard the stories? I'm sorry. So I only got so many. These aren't even the stories I do in my act, though. Come and see different stories. Yeah. The first for the first year, I was it was just 2 teachers, me and Mike Myers, and everybody else was over 35. And everybody over 35, we thought that they weren't funny, and we were probably right. But they enjoyed the class, and a lot of them were actors. Some of them were just people that wanted to learn improv, which is great. But Mike and I got along really well, and we even tried to start a comedy troupe. But you can be 2 funny people but not have chemistry. And I think also he was not only was he, by the way, it's 17 because he was 2 years younger than me. I was 19, he was 17. He was as funny as he ever got. Like he was hilarious. And he was really good like figuring out a career, and then I think he was the second youngest person to be hired for Second City main stage, next to Catherine O'Hara. So my very first class without him, I was lonely and afraid, and then then another teenager walks in, the same age as Mike, and it was Dave Foley, and we. I've said this story so many times, and I'm not bored of it. That's what I hate about myself. But so they came in, and just by coincidence, because we were 2 shy teenagers, though this was beginning my second year doing workshops, Dave stood next to me, and the teacher, Alan Gummin, the workshop teacher, made us, the whole group, the whole 30 people, go into pairs, and we did the mirror exercise, where you stand in front of the person and mirror each other's movements. And then Dave and I just started being funny and doing funny movements. And then at one point we were on the floor, both mirroring each other, like pretending that we were giving birth to somebody. And then someone came in late from class, and they opened the door, which was the door to the street. And Dave and I just started. No one did it first, mind you, to make this moment more magical, as a bit more phony, more magical. We both just started crawling out the door until we were on the sidewalk. And through the window, we saw our teacher, like motioning madly, go, "Get the fuck in here! Get the fuck in!" We could just read his lips.
You literally broke the 4th wall.
We literally
crawled out of the 4th wall.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. And by the end of the class, he was in an improv where he was really good, and I was in an improv that was funny. And so we just hung out after, and I didn't know his name yet. And I said, do you want to join my comedy troupe? I didn't have a comedy troupe yet. And he said yes. And then I called my friend Luciano Casimiri. He said, we can start a comedy troupe now. There's a guy. He's just as funny as Mike Myers.
And then, like, I always like when you, like, early in comedy, when you get really bad advice from, like, people who feel they're established. Wasn't, like, one of the names of Kids in the Hall Mixed Nuts?
Yes. Yeah. There's the original Kids in the Hall, Luciano, we called him Luch, Dave and I. We did think of theater sports. And because we were young and we seemed to have potential, raw potato potential. We the guy in the big group, he said he would sort of coach us because theater sports was like sports in a way. Those it was to us it was just comedy. And he gave us the name. You guys are just so crazy, but you're crazy in a different way. So I think Mixed Nuts would be perfect.
Let me consult my cliche book to that would be a good name.
Mixed Nuts. Like never call your comedy troupe a comedy name. And I don't think anyone does anymore. I've been looking at a lot of troupe names for some reason, and they there's no comedy names.
Yeah, that's up there with like 1 + 1 = funny or something like that.
Yes.
And then when did you really feel you got like your legs at the Rivoli? Like again, it's like, I'd also talked to Paul Myers, so he literally wrote the book on it.
He literally wrote the book on the He was there too.
Yeah.
Those days he was there too.
But he said like just, again, the early days were, like any early days, kind of sparse and then suddenly lines around the block.
Yes. Yeah. Well, because it was Dave and I and Luch, and then this troupe from Calgary moved that had Bruce McCullough and Mark McKinney. And everybody in the troupe was funny. Luch was a genius. Gary Campbell and Frank Van Keeken, they're all successful writers now, like successful showrunners. They're like rich. The Kids in the Hall aren't rich. Even and there were like 9 or 10 or 11 of us, and it wasn't working. I guess because there was too many people. There were women in the troupe, but they got discovered first because women in comedy, especially back then, was so rare that they got hired by Second City. And until there was the 5 of us, like there was 4 of us, and Scott Thompson started to force. I always comically say forced his way into the troupe, which is not true, but spiritually it's true. And I always say, Scott, he's not like a comic like we were, even though we're like weird and anti-comedy and alternative comedy. We're like comedy. We all still love like the Marx Brothers and things like that. Scott came from a different, like a totally different approach. And I always think that we were at the Rivoli when he joined the troupe. Before him, we were 4 people. We were sort of like 4 writers who stood at the back of the wall, shyly telling our ideas in character. And Scott literally forced us to the front of the stage.
99 bottles of beer on the wall, 99 bottles of beer. You take one down, you pass it around, and 99 bottles of beer on the wall.
And then it was the 5 of us. It was summer of 84 to summer of 85. And for the first half, for the 84 half, I remember it was always like 16 people in the audience. I don't know if it's 16 people. And then I'll tell the story that Paul told you. I told him.
Yeah. Okay, sure. Is it about how you became the guy in the towel? That's right.
No.
Okay. All right.
So I think it was January or February of 85. It was a blizzard in Toronto. Paul, check this out. You said I'm wrong, but I'm sure that there was a disastrous, tragic airplane crash, and there was a blizzard and everything was shut down. The streetcars, even the subways, for some reason were shut down. And it just seemed like a dark day. We rehearsed our show, because we did a show every Monday at the Rivoli, mostly new material, and we just felt like no one was going to come. And then it was the first time ever where it not only sold out, but there were people lined up around the block, and they were turned away. And I know he told you the story, but I've been kidding Hall telling you the story. Yeah, I was probably there that night. And ever since then, from the January of 85 to the summer, we had an audience, and we were like a Toronto thing. You walk by the Rivoli, imagine it. Go ahead. I'll shut up for a second. Imagine it.
I can picture it around. Yeah.
Okay, there.
I looked in the window like this. I did one of these in the window.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was close. It was during the day when I walked by it.
Yeah. You probably just saw your own reflection. It was a sunny corner there. And here I'll go on with the story that you didn't ask, but I might as well get there. The thing is called Comedy History 101, which I don't want to think about because like when you're old like me, you still want to think you're comedy present, but comedy history, sure. So in the summer, Mark McKinney said, we're doing these shows and they're doing great, but we do mostly new sketches. Why don't we rent a theater out? And the Tarragon, I believe it was. And we do a best of the kids in the hall. And then we did it for a week and we sort of became a bigger thing. And we got that great review that Paul Myers probably told you about that. I still remember it was a big theater critic. He was like famous. It was the Globe and Mail, our big classy paper in Canada. And I still remember when we were reading it, he said, the kids in the hall assume their audience is as smart as they are. And I remember us walking around going, yeah, we do. We do. Like, I never got that. Yeah. And of course, our last show was the show because Lorne Michaels, after taking 5 years off of Saturday Night Live, was looking around. I was coming back to it, and he sent talent people, and he sent Yvonne Fasson, who was the president of late night NBC, but he was a Toronto guy, and he came and saw us. And then the next morning, I was calling my movie theater because I was a movie usher, saying, "I can't work today. We just got signed with Pam Thomas, the big comedy agent. Her husband's Dave Thomas. Anyway, there's a conference call with Lorne Michaels. Anyway, I can't go in." And I remember my manager saying, "Well, John, no, his name was Ed. What? Ed Foot or something. He already called in sick, so I don't know what I'm going to do." And when I was just about to say, I guess I have to quit, he said, "Never mind, we'll work it out. I guess it sounds like a big deal."
He just underplayed it.
Yeah.
I remember the first time I saw them. I think Rivoli, I thought they were funny, smart, original. It was nothing like what I'd been doing on SNL.
What was it like that residency when you had in New York? Where were you at? You were like in Lower East Side or? No.
We were we played two places. One made sense, the West Bank Cafe, and the other one made less sense. It was Caroline's Comedy in South Sea Seaport.
Okay, so it was like before Caroline's, which is now closed, was in Midtown or Times Square. Okay.
Yeah, I think shortly after that it went to you know what? Even then I think it was in two places. There was the Midtown one and there was the one in Wall Street. And we went to that one. And that was
which was the not making sense one?
The Wall Street one.
Oh, okay.
It was literally businessmen thinking they were just going into a bar and then us doing our scenes like I tried to think of an example of a weird scene, but I don't think I can say that one anymore, so I won't say that one. But anyway, like our weird scenes and them just not getting it. But West Bank Cafe, they were more appreciative. Like it never did it super kill. Maybe I'm wrong. I think it always did very well, but it wasn't like Rivoli happy. And Lorne Michaels wanted us to perform because during the day we were writing the pilot. We were there for 5 months. And at night he thought he wanted us to perform in weekend nights because he said New York audiences would toughen us up. He was from Toronto. I don't know what he has against Toronto audiences, but
yeah.
But it helped.
Did it toughen you up? The New York audiences?
The Lord, you were right. Yes.
And did you get Lorne like from like he was like in a comedy team, wasn't he? Like on the
so Lord and Hart. They had a TV show called the Lord and Hart Terrific Hour. He was sort of the straight man, but he was a very funny straight man. Like I read things that Lorne Michaels isn't funny. He's really funny.
And now it's time once again to talk to our old friend, the Canadian Beaver. How you feeling, Beav?
Pretty chipper, pretty chipper.
And he was a great writer because that's how he got a chance to do Saturday Night Live. Like he like writing Lily Tomlin and
but he was a writer on Laugh-In.
And Laugh-In.
Yeah.
Laugh-In worked his way up to Lily Tomlin and to the hipper comedy. Like he was really funny. But I know it's like a myth thing to say. He's not even funny, but he's really funny.
You stupid. Everybody's so stupid.
Just a couple last questions here, because here's the deal. I only get the free version of Zoom, so I can't stop every interview to 40 minutes.
So I'm cramping. That was funny. I'm kind of cramping.
Yeah. What contemporary comedy do you like currently like?
Um, well, first of all, these days I watch TCM movies, CNN, and sports. But there is I like lots of comedy. When people ask me, I go blank. I'm a big music fanatic, as a lot of people are. And you ask my favorite group, is I go blank. So there's lots of stand-ups I like, but there's one thing I remember because I've been saying it a lot. There's a sketch show that I think is as good as any great sketch show, and that's I think you should leave. I think that's that drives me crazy how good it is. It drives me crazy because it's a obsession comedy, and I like every scene he goes crazy. And I always thought that I was pretty good at obsession comedy because I'm an obsessed person, but he's way better. Like he zooms over what I am. I look at the little obsessed sketches I do. Like it's crazy obsessions, but it's not so crazy that you don't believe it. You do believe, oh, that guy's doing a crazy thing, but I bet there are people like that. And then he writes twists in it that you would never guess. That's sort of my favorite current sketch comedy. Before that, I like Key and Peele. I think Key and Peele did everything technically perfect. Great performing, great writing. They shot it great. Everything was, even endings. I think they came up with they always came up with good endings, which is the hard. Every sketch comic knows it's the hardest thing to write. Like a good ending. So I thought they were like it sounds like I'm insulting them, and I'm complimenting when I say like they're technically perfect. Also, they're really funny. Like Peele's like a comedy genius. Like he started in a completely different style. He sort of reminds me of Phil Harmon, how they can do how they sort of do everything.
Yes.
And the horror movies are fine, but I hope he does comedy again.
Yeah. And what's like the most fan thing a Kids in the Hall fan has done that you've experienced, either endearing or creepy?
Creepy. The one thing I remember is creepy. It's been endearing, but it's just endearing and a wonderful painting or drawing. But I was shooting something in Edmonton, which is that way.
I've been to Edmonton. I dated an Edmonton woman. I'm sure
I know her.
Yeah. I've been there 3 times.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Edmonton's it's a big improv place. Not as big as Calgary, where the other kids and all came from. But I guess I was shooting a sketch show. Because I moved to Winnipeg and I need the work. I don't know why I'm miming that I'm rowing a boat. I guess that's work.
Like a canoe boat or
a canoe? Yeah.
Boat. Okay. Got it. Yeah.
Yeah, because it seems to be small. The waters goes so probably a canoe. And they were shooting. Oh, you probably heard of this, the West Edmonton Mall. Have you been there with your?
I have been there. Yes.
So they were shooting. It was a low budget show, so they had a part of the sketch every week where they played pirates, and there's a pirate ship. So we were there. All this setup this got nothing to do with what happened. So on a break, me and my friend Howie, who was one of the stars of the show, we were walking to the craft service table when 2 fans, a brother and sister, who look kind of goth. They were alternative, and they were both teenagers, and they were talking to us, and it was normal. And he said he was a big Kids in the Hall fan, and because he was a big Kids in the Hall fan, he said to me, "I know that you would appreciate this." And he took his glass eye out, and he gave it to me, and I said, "Oh, thank you very much." And you were touching it, and as you would guess, you feel bad thinking that it's yucky to hold, and it isn't. People with glass eyes, I know. This is my first time, and it surprised me. I never. And then I thought, he's not taking it back. And then I said,
it was a gift.
It was a gift. And I said, "Oh, please take it back. I think you need it." I became Woody Allen. I think you. And he said, "No, I've got lots." "Oh, no, please."
"I got lots." This was his answer.
"I got lots." That's what he said. They were nice kids, nice goth kids, and that's the thing I remember the most that a fan ever tried to give me.
And what do you think is the most, like, that sums up Kids in the Hall, like, sketch or character that you've done that emphasize like all the writing and the performing and everything, all the elements put together?
Oh, I think that's an easy one.
Okay.
They were all easy. Not that I mean, it's good. But they were hard easy. Don't worry.
Okay, I got some harder ones coming up in the next 3 minutes.
Yeah, I know. We got 3 minutes. I gotta go. We did a scene that not a lot of people know because it was in the pilot, and I think it's harder to see the pilot. But we did a scene called Reg.
The last time I saw him, we didn't even talk. We just watched the Flintstones.
It's always that way. The last time you see someone, you just wish that you said more. Well, yeah, but
It sort of seems like it's us. It isn't. But we're sort of like playing people like us, and we're outside, and there's like a fire, and we're drinking beer, and we're sad that our friend Reg is dead.
To Reg.
And we're talking about how sad we died. Then it turns out that, as we say in the thing, we killed Reg in a ritualistic murder.
Easy to beat up, hard to kill.
And I think, at the end, we go, to good friends, to good times, to ritualistic murders, to Reg. It was It was a Bruce idea that Dave and I wrote with him. But it's Bruce is my favorite writer of the kids and all. They were all good, blah blah blah. But only he would come up with that kind of idea, and only we would help him write it out, and only 5 of us would perform it right. I mean, the idea is that we are sincerely sad that our friend Reg is dead. We just have a disconnect that we killed him.
Yeah,
and I think that's sort of sums it up. And people, when it was just the pilot, people were obsessed with that sketch, and they always said, we heard this, not always, but we heard this more than 10 times, but the 10 different people would ask us, did you have a Reg in your troupe? Like we killed a guy.
Like you're confessing. This is your way to confess.
Yes. In the old days, they'd ask us 2 things. They either asked us if we had a friend named Reg in the troupe, or if we lived in the same house, like we're the monkeys or something.
Yeah, with a fire pole somehow.
Yes, yeah.
And then I think lastly, I've heard you talk about kind of like tension in the group. What moment of tension now seems like really ridiculous in retrospect?
Oh, there's a lot. I mean, Scott, God bless you. I love you, Scott. I can't think of a specific thing, but I remember lots of times he got upset for no reason. And I do a story. The kid Mark Twain tells stories of the kids at the hall. I go, but come to Brooklyn, Second City. It's April. What is it? 11th, 12th. 11th and 12th. I won't ruin the story. I won't ruin the story. But he gets so upset about nothing. I guess I am going to ruin the story. He took a banana and he threw it in an electric fan and it splattered all over him. And then he was so mad he put his leg stuck in he got his leg, he drove his leg through the chair and it got stuck in a chair.
Like all the same motion, banana chair?
Yes. Our assistant yeah, exactly. And our assistant tried to help out of the chair and he turned to her and said, "No, you don't. You don't. I will stay here covered in banana with my leg stuck in the chair until those 4 bastards admit the scene I wrote was funny."
Oh, man.
That's the real version. I changed it a bit. Yeah, so that was the real.
Yeah, excellent. So I see we have less than a minute here. Kevin, thank you so much. I love the stories. I hope everyone comes out on the 11th and the 12th, Second City.
Yes, I'm about to exaggerate greatly. I think we have a few seats left. We have hundreds!
All right, Kevin, this is about to cut out in a second, so I just want to officially say goodbye, and thank you so much. Yeah. And the dinosaur. All right, take care.
Yes, you can take care too.
Bye. And with that, we wrap up today's episode on Comedy History 101, and I believe you got schooled in comedy. Once again, the quick plugs. Like, subscribe, and comment on Comedy History 101. Show us a little love. We love bringing you these fantastic episodes. Give us some comments on iTunes, a few stars on Spotify, or drop a comment on our site, comedyhistory101.com. And you can find out all about my show dates at harmonleon.com or on the social media at harmonleon. And until next time, bye-bye.
You're stupid. Everybody's so stupid.
I'm trying to use the phone!
Comedy History 101.